Guys, what's up? So last week I dropped Archimoms, and this week I am dropping Archidads. One of the things that Anta said from last week's episode was to thank your partner. And so that got me thinking about male architects, men architects, architects who are men. How's that? I decided to reach out to two of my friends who have kids below the age of 7. And it was important to me when I was deciding to illustrate dads, architecture dads, that they are Black men in architecture who are also married and parents to their sons/daughters. So I really wanted to just shed a light on them, just to say that they do exist. They do have an opinion. They do struggle like everybody else, no matter what profession. If you're a lawyer or an accountant, you are at home with your kid or kids, and you're trying to work from home. As architects, we are problem solvers. Why can't we solve this problem? We are out here trying to solve the pandemic problem, but yet we're not trying to solve the problem of balancing it out. We're kind of just left to say, oh, that's your problem. I just pay you to work. No, we should really get the minds of all these great people that work in this industry who would be rushing to design a tent city. Why can't we do that for our co-workers, our employees? Why can't we solve this problem? This is just, it drives me crazy. It's a common thing. If you have a kid, you have to decide. You have to sacrifice something. And you can't make a blanket statement that, oh, everybody is doing it. No, not everybody designs. Not everybody are problem solvers. We are marketing ourselves as problem solvers for everybody else, but we're not solving this ultimate problem of work-life balance. I have a kid at home. I have to work from home. How do I do it? How do I be profitable for my company and allow my kids to watch their classmates or to learn whatever it is that they're learning? Why aren't we doing something about this? If we could clear our minds or be at ease with knowing that our kids are okay, to know that our kids are learning, then we can be creative. We can be more productive. But no, nobody wants to think about that. Back to the episode. So this episode, it was Richard and Nicholas. And I'll talk about how I met them both. And we talked for almost 3 hours. This is the longest podcast I've ever done. Thanks, guys. So I'm going to divide the segment in half. So you'll get, of course, this episode. And then I may publish the second part later on. Because we kind of ended, but we didn't. And we talked about the new norm, quote unquote. We talked about NOMA, what the state of architecture is. We really got into it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Archidads, Black Men Edition.
Hey.
Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Good. Kind of exhausted.
So how's your practice?
The practice?
Yes.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. I had no idea what it was going to be like. And it's a lot of new stuff that I have to deal with, mostly the business side. So I'm having to learn that part of it. So yeah, it's challenging. The architecture stuff, that part's, that's familiar. It's manageable. It still has its ups and downs. I've done a lot of large commercial work before, so learning the nuances of single family residential and working with those types of clients, it's a different feel. It's not like a big learning curve, but it has its nuances to it, So
have you dealt with DCRA before in your previous jobs, or?
Yeah. Let me see. A lot when I was doing mixed use commercial. yeah, so I pulled a lot of permits there, and then yeah, just kept on doing it since then. Yeah, I had to work through permitting on big projects, lots of permit comments. Like you'd be working on permit comments for months. It's
That's the thing. So I did government for a long time, so I was expecting the same way, but it's
hmm
not.
for a single family job, it's kind of knocked up. But once it goes to zoning, you might have to deal with historic,
Yeah.
so
So
it
that's
depends.
cool. It's I'm learning.
Yeah.
Did you go to school with Nick?
Yeah. Nick was there. I remember seeing Nick there. I think he was doing undergrad and graduated maybe the first year I got there. So he was ahead of me.
How did you get to Chicago? How did you get here?
To DC or Chicago?
How did you get to the US?
So my first degree was in civil engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that in Trinidad. I studied at UWI,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got out and started practicing in Jamaica, and found out, when I was working with architects that I really liked what they did, and decided that I wanted to become an architect. So then that's when I started the whole process of applying for architecture school and landed up in Illinois. And I had no idea about U.S. Geography and what was
You picked the
warm and cold.
coldest place.
Yeah. I learned quickly. Well, I was there for the longest while. I think it was, I don't know, I waited too long. It was like October, November before I got a winter coat. And then once it hit me, I was like, I ran out and got one really quick. So yeah, in Illinois, went down to Atlanta for a little bit. And then my wife got a fellowship. That's how I came up here to DC. So DC wasn't really on the radar at all until she decided to reach out and get this fellowship. So yeah, and we've been here ever since. I mean, it's kind of I don't know. For me, it was, I think, a lucky pick because you know how DC is, and with the recession and all that stuff. I mean, I think it kind of insulated us a little bit, or me, from what was going on. Because when I came up here, I started to do higher ed,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a lot of work during the recession. So it's crazy because hardly anybody else had work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's been good so far. I mean, it's good right now too. I mean, you've been here a while, and seeing, like, how the economy has been, right?
I mean,
So far.
I am born and raised here, and I try to get out, but
Hey, good people.
what?
Hey, Nick.
Hey.
Still putting the boys to bed, huh?
No. He's in the living room. We were just about to eat dinner. I got your text. I was like, oh, shit.
You forgot about me.
Yeah, I
You
was
know
telling
what?
my
This
sister,
is what's
like,
so insane. I said this morning, I was like, I should set myself a reminder so I don't forget about the podcast. I was like, it's on my mind. How am I going to forget about it? The day comes and things happen and whatever.
No, I told Melissa I was literally putting Viv to bed 15 minutes before this podcast. And I was just exhausted because I've been up since what, 6:36, just nonstop,
Right.
nonstop all day. I just want to collapse.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was thinking maybe, I don't know, it might have been better to do this Zoom like early in the morning when we're all fresh. At least Nick and myself. I don't know about you, Melissa, but
I'm good. I'm a night owl anyway, so I'm generally good. I haven't hit a wall today, which is kind of surprised. I was up. I don't feel like I slept too well last night. Well, it's not that I slept okay, but then I didn't get that second sleep. It's like I woke up earlier than early whatever, but I wasn't able to really go back to sleep. So even through all that, I still haven't hit a wall today where I was like, oh, I need a nap, or I'm just falling asleep at a computer like I haven't. So I should be good. If I pass out during the podcast, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. You know, I thought I'd be better than I was, but no.
So last week I did a podcast about Archidads.
Yeah.
And so I saw Nick's post about the adventures of Nicholas on Facebook. And I was like, let me do one on Archidads. And so who else is a dad? And I thought about you, Richard. And so the one I did last week was with two women, and they have kids all under the age of 7. So one has 2 kids, the other one has 3 kids.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to keep it in the same age range. And I wanted to, because they're both married, they both have kids. So I was like, you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you the same questions that I asked them, kind of little, and see what happens. Okay?
Cool.
So I usually start off with how I meet my peeps. So I met Lauren.
Right.
I met Nick.
Yeah.
And so Nick was like a ghost. He's like, yeah, you know, Nick, he's coming. He's in Chicago now, but he's coming. And I was just like, who's this Nick guy? What's going on, Lauren? Who's this Nick guy?
Oh, man.
And then you showed up, and I was like,
out in the town in Chicago.
Right. And then you showed up, and I was like, oh, okay, you're real. And you ain't going nowhere, because y'all been together for how long? Have you? Forever.
Hey, you know, Bernie Mac said, Elvin, you know, it's a long time when you take the 4 off the front of it.
I think I met you
2007.
2007.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Lauren was here in DC?
She was here in Baltimore. She moved out to Baltimore after grad school.
Okay.
Yeah. So she finished grad school in 2005, moved out here, and she's been here since then.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
So
got
how
out
did
here.
you guys meet?
Down at the AI conference in San Antonio. And she had been involved in AIA as, I can't remember the name of her role, but she was becoming much more involved in a National Associates rep, I believe. She's on National Associates Committee. So she was doing more things within the state, but also nationally. So she knew Catherine, I always say Catherine Williams, and Shantina from New York, who she went to Buffalo school. So they were also involved, and they were going down there. Lauren didn't really know too many people, didn't have any ties to Texas really at all. And she's okay, why am I gonna go? Oh, I'm really go. Oh, so she thought about not going, but Catherine was, oh, come on, go down, it'll be fun. So, you know, Catherine knew all us, which so she asked, oh, you don't know Antoine Brown, like, you know, Prescott, like, you know, thick as thieves. But so yeah, we just ended up hanging the whole weekend, and she just couldn't get enough of me. I'll tell you what it was. We both flew back through Columbus, and then once we got to Columbus, I drove back down to Cincinnati. I was in grad school. We met when I was in grad school. So I drove back down to Cincinnati. Had about an hour or so drive, hour and a half. She flew back to Baltimore and then gave me a call, you know, once she got back to her car. So I was, you know, close enough to the house, but she actually made it home before I did. So she called me, she called me back, which was surprising, but then stayed on the phone with me all the way until I got home and in the crib and all that.
That's a sign.
You know, that's special. So, and yeah, we just, you know, kept talking, you know, the group of us, you know, that had met, and we kept talking, and me and her kept talking, and me and her kept talking, and then me and her kept talking, and me and her kept talking. So once I had to look at my my impending co-op for that summer, I was looking at different cities. I was looking at DC. I did my first one in DC because my mom was out here and I didn't have to pay rent in 2 places. But I got an opportunity with studios to do a co-op there. So I did that, and I was like, yeah. All right, so let me see what DC's talking about again. So we just got, you know, close that summer. And that's the piece. That's the story.
So Richard, I think I met you either through Noma or through somebody, because I think that we know.
Yeah, I was thinking back and trying to figure out, you know, how exactly we met. I don't know. I was wondering if it was through Desiree or something like that. Nakia was here as well for a little bit.
Because it's like we have a lot of connections. Is either the Caribbean connection, like Shawnee, or Tula, or Atlanta with like Nakia, or
I don't know. It might have been like a small Noma group or something. I mean, I was thinking maybe Desiree and Nakia, through one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you two know each other. How?
Yeah. You know what? I know from college, but we never really got to talk too much.
We weren't in school at the same time.
Noma's in Illinois. I don't think we really spoke much, but I knew of Nick.
Yeah.
You know.
I met you. You and Thomas were down there at the same time, so I'd spoken to Thomas.
Yeah.
I think when I came down there for one of the symposiums, I met you then.
Yeah. When did you graduate from Illinois?
let's
get that.
2001.
Okay, all right. I thought you were still there when I was there. But
y'all are getting old. I'm not. Y'all are getting old, man.
No, I started in 2002, so that's why we didn't really talk, because you graduated, I guess you were working, and you came back for the conference. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man.
You didn't have longer hair, did you, when in 2002?
I had hair in 2002. Let's start there.
Okay. I need to look back through my photos.
Oh man, what the years do to your hairline?
Yeah. So and then I remember when you like moved back to the area, you came down. Maybe you were in Baltimore, and you're looking around trying to come down to DC, and then we touched base then.
Just try to stay in touch. I mean, it's that's the great thing about NOMA. It's the great thing about going to a glorious school like the University of Illinois. Is that you have connections, but I always try and stay close to people. So knowing you were out here, knowing the firms you were working with, and Melissa being out here, I mean, it was a no-brainer. I'm going to try and keep people together, especially going to stands. I mean, that's why it is fun to go, obviously, but I always try and bring people out. Well, hey, come out, meet somebody. Someone needs to know that you exist, even though you may know me, I may know you. You may know somebody else. There may be somebody else there that they need to know who you are and the great things that you're doing. So that's all it is. Just trying to, keep people connected.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys met each other's love, got married, and
indeed.
had babies. How old is Nixon now?
He just turned 4 on March 20th.
4.
Yeah, he's a whole 4-year-old.
And how about you, Richard?
So Viv is 4.5, going 5 in July, and Isla is a year and a half.
Year and a half.
3 years apart. And I just realized something, Nick. Isn't your middle name like X? Or
yeah.
Yeah. So is Nixon like a combination of your first and middle name, or that's just a coincidence?
Although that's a wonderful guess. No. Say his name real slow. Say it very slow.
Nixon.
Say it again.
Nixon.
No, too fast.
Slow.
Nixon.
Yes. Nick.
That's who he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all Lauren. I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart to come up with that. So that's her.
I guess there are his full name. To read it.
Yeah, his full name is William Nixon Xenophon Hill. Okay. So William is her dad, Nixon, Nick's son, and Xenophon, he's actually number 3. I get it from my dad's younger brother was Otis Xenophon, so he was Xenophon number 1. I'm part 2. I'm part 2, and Xenophon is Nixon is Xenophon 3.
Okay.
So yeah, and we'll keep it going. I joke around it, it goes through generations, but now I got another reason to have a Xenophon number 4 to look forward to at some point. Mm-hmm. If some glorious woman will take care of this little boy in here, I don't know about that, man. I can hope. Someday.
Yeah.
So have you guys worked from home before, prior to this pandemic?
I have. I mean, just to, kind of what I've told everyone, the thing that connects so many of us, no matter what you do, no matter what your industry is, no matter what your career experience has been, you have people that have telecommuted for you. I mean, I've telecommuted at various points in my career, but the kicker for everyone is now your kids are home. So what do you do? Even for the firm I'm at now, I got VPN set up on my laptop in December on Christmas break. Like that first Monday, I'll call back to office. All right, our IT is remote. Get into the computer and get all hooked up, and I was fine. So that wasn't even an issue. But you have some firms where they still had people tethered to their desktop towers, and they were scrambling on mid to late March trying to get people mobile. They should have been much more agile than they, regardless of Corona, it's the year 2020. It's like, come on, let's get with it, It's ridiculous. I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, I talked about this stuff in my thesis, in 2009, 2010. It was old then, right? But the kicker is that you have your kids here. I mean, I was consulting in 2017 for a firm I worked with back in Chicago a couple times, Jack Corp International, Principal John Gay. And I was working with John from about May to November, and it was tough. It's the same thing we're going through now, where you have to find times to work, and it was difficult. I'm holding baby in one hand, trying to draw with the other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nixon that was 2017, so he was just over a year, probably 12 to 18 months, that kind of age range, and they're moving around. Not you don't have to worry about them falling over, but they're moving around a little bit. You have to see what's going on with them, and you're trying to produce at the same time. It was difficult then. It's difficult now because of what you want for them. I don't have to worry about him hurting himself as much now, but he said, "Hey, Daddy, turn the TV for me. Daddy, get this for me. Daddy, I'll open this applesauce for me." It's something, Lauren and I try and balance off each other as best we can. I know we'll get all into that, but yeah, the difficulty is that you're trying to work while you have a child to take care of, and that is inherently difficult.
Yeah.
How about you, Richard? Work from home prior to this?
Yeah, so before I started on my own, I was at HOK for a year. And while I was there, I had Isla shortly after I got there. So once we had the two kids, Nick will know about this. Random stuff comes up. They have to, they're sick. They have doctor's visits. They have this. They have that. And then it was compounded because there were two of them. So I just felt like we needed more flexibility, and I spoke to them about working part-time. So before I actually left to go off on my own, I was working like half-time with them, and I was at home so I could help out with all the different things that were going on. So I was working part-time. And what happened, I think I was using my desktop. I didn't have like a company computer. I just log in at like it wasn't VPN, it was like Citrix or something they were using. And it was pretty seamless. They're a big national firm, so they had their IT sorted out. So it worked out well. I mean, the team didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I was doing the same things that I was doing as if I was in the office. So, it wasn't a big deal at all. Mm-hmm. And they actually encouraged it. They were like, if that's what you need to make things work for you, do it. But there wasn't anybody else in the office doing it. I'll tell you that. I think they said maybe people had asked to do that before, but I think I was the only one that was doing that. Mm. And I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if I'd given them my notice or something, and then we started talking, and they were saying, all right, this part-time thing could be an option, because I was up to here with the two kids, and I was like burning through PTO and stuff, trying to, make up time for, sick time and all this stuff, and,
really?
Making up hours like late at night on the weekends and stuff. And then, at a certain point, you're like, all right, I can't do this anymore. Let me just burn through a little bit of this PTO. And then I think I burnt through all of it. And then I was like, all right, let me do part-time. And then, I think after a couple of months, I really liked the part-time. And I was like, I was thinking about going off on my own as well, because then I'll be working full-time from home and I could just have maximum flexibility, right? And then I just decided, you know what, I was going to do it, and I just decided to go off on my own. I mean, I didn't go off on my own right away. I left when I think it was end of June, so I just kind of took the summer off and just kind of let off some steam. From then on, I was working at home. When this coronavirus thing came up, it wasn't a big transition in terms of working from home, but it was a big transition because Viv was at home now and homeschool had to start. So that was a big deal, right? Because for a lot of people, it was just one change, the virus, and you have to work from home. For me, it was, starting a business. That's a humongous change.
Yeah.
And then homeschool on top of that. And yeah, my head just exploded.
Either feed your family or teach them, right?
What's that?
You have to either feed your family or teach them, right? It's like one cannot serve two masters.
Yeah. So yeah, the first couple of weeks were rough because what to describe it? I didn't really accept what was going on. I think that's the best way to put it. I was kind of fighting it, and well, if I have to. So how we did it with my wife is that, I mean, she was starting a new job too when this homeschool started. So she started a new job virtually. So I had to help her set up her office, and her office is in the same room as my office. So that's like another thing as well. So she was starting a new job. So she didn't have any flexibility with time, right? And Viv was at home and somebody had to homeschool her. Homeschool starts at 9 o'clock. We have to log in through Google Meet. So somebody has to be there with her, to help her with the technology and stuff. And so, I said I was going to be flexible. So I was a designated homeschool teacher, right? I basically homeschool her in the mornings. Everyone starts work at 8, and I start not homeschool, but childcare kicks in. I have to take care of Isla, give them breakfast, get them ready for school. Isla goes to a daycare next door, which is very helpful. And it's usually 4 kids, but with the virus and stuff, all the other parents dropped out, and they're just homeschooling both kids from home. But it's our next door neighbor, so Isla was the only one going next door. So we're pretty comfortable with that. That's our neighbor. She's pretty careful, and we're being pretty careful. So, I mean, it's worked out for, how long have we been doing this thing now? 6 weeks?
Yeah,
6 weeks. And it's been fine, knock on wood. And then, so with, Viv, I've been homeschooling her until the afternoon. And she's 4.5, so she's on a schedule now where she isn't supposed to take a nap in the afternoons. They're supposed to go right through. In pre-K3, she took a nap, but now she's supposed to take a nap, but I give her a nap because
you need that time.
We have to break it up somehow, right?
Yeah.
So I give her a nap, and that's when the shift changes over. I start working at around 2 o'clock. She takes her nap, and by the time she gets up, around 3:34, Avenel takes over, right? And I'll get a good chunk of work in between 2 and 6, and then then I sign off, and it's dinner time and the whole evening routine with giving them a bath and story time and all that stuff. And then before you know it, it's 9 o'clock. I'm that's the end of the day. Melissa was saying she has core hours and stuff. I mean, I'm running my own business, so I can't just back and just fill in. I have to be running a full week, just figuring stuff out, keeping it running and stuff, because there's nobody else to pick up my slack.
Right. It's all on you.
It's all on me. So if I'm not doing it, nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to juggle, and I've been shifting back and forth, trying to pick back up at 9 o'clock and work late into the night. And sometimes I'll do early morning, but now I'm trying to do early morning and then afternoon, and then on the weekends.
What are those? What are weekends?
I mean, everything is just kind of blended into one these days. I mean,
it's just days.
The weekends are blended into the week. It's
Mm-hmm.
So did you guys have help before, like nannies or somebody come in or anything before this pandemic?
Well, I mean, like Richard's saying, at a minimum, you weren't with them 24 hours a day. Now, help comes in by, how big is your circle? How big is your tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you drop them off over here? Do they have something to go do over here? Can you have so-and-so come watch it? Like wherever that fits in, but I can't get to, I haven't seen my mom or my sister in I say minimum 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So if Nixon needed to, whatever it is, he'll stay overnight at my mom's. My sister will come up here and watch him, or vice versa. We'll take him down there. But there's, and even his babysitter, his first couple years before he started preschool, he had a babysitter that's a stone's throw from us. So we take him over there, but can't do that. So that's where it comes in. I mean, you can have as big a circle as you want, but Corona took all that away. I mean, Richard, you're lucky to say your babysitter's right next door. Like, I would feel fine about that. I would.
Although she's used to a school environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
She has all her buddies running around and stuff, and now she's isolated. And I mean, that's hard on like a 4-year-old to be at home by themselves. I mean, I take her out like for our recess, what would have been our recess. We walk around the neighborhood. We go say hi to the neighborhood kids from the sidewalk and stuff. We like Zoom with a couple of our close friends from school. But some days she like begs me to have Isla stay home because she needs a company. She can't like rough it out like us. So they need some other kid around to. So
have you guys explained to them what's going on? Like, why aren't you at school, or why can't you run on the playground?
Viv knows what's going on. I mean, in a basic sense, right? The virus. We can't go outside because of the virus. When we go out to see our friends on the sidewalk, she knows she has to stay at 6 feet. Like, some of the other kids don't really understand. And when she's out there with them, on the sidewalk, and they try to come up to her, she's like, "No, 6 feet, the virus." But she doesn't really know what she kind of knows. So I'll turn on the news in the evening, and she'll hear what's going on. But in a basic sense, the virus, she knows that that's the cause of all this stuff. But in terms of, what was your question before? If we had help before?
Yeah.
We don't really have family nearby, and we don't have a nanny yet. We keep on talking about it, but we haven't gotten one yet for like date nights and all that stuff. We've had friends come over, neighbors come over. We don't have like a babysitter yet. So this was kind of similar to what we were doing before, but usually Viv will be at school and it wouldn't be this rough. Like, she'd be at school, I'd be able to work the entire day. So it's definitely a game changer having her home, the entire day. So.
Managing an architecture project in an architecture firm has lots of moving parts. After experimenting with several different programs, I realized that I needed a software that is customizable for multiple tasks. The more I talked to other firm owners, the more I realized there was a void where my firm wasn't big enough for programs like Asana, Instagram, or Trello, and not so big to spend $10,000 up front for some integrated software. I wanted a software that could do dashboard and Kanban views, Gantt charts, serve as an internet for the company, and resource loading. Then I discovered Smartsheets for Architects. Interested in how Smartsheets for Architects helped me? Go to www.smartsheet4architects.com and enter in ArchisPoly in the promo code to receive 10% off the course. Save yourself hours of guesswork from dealing with conflicted spreadsheets.
I haven't told Nixon anything. Neither one of us have. I don't know if he would. It's kind of two things. One, I don't know if he would understand. And then the other side of that is the explanation will be much more than the actual issue.
Yeah.
My cousin has, his son he's got a a son that's a little bit older than your girl. He'll turn 5 in June, and he's 9 months older than Nixon. And then his daughter she's not 2 yet. So he told his son what's going on. So he knows it's bad. It's something out there is making people real sick, but we haven't told Nixon anything, and he hasn't asked. He's kind of asked like little thing, but real early. He's like, are we going to school? Kind of like one of those first couple of days. Are we going to school today? Like, no. Okay. And they'll go do something else, I know I put some on Facebook about, the Corona Chronicles. He came in here to Lauren and I one time, Lauren and me, pardon me, speak grammatically correct. We were in here just chugging away. I was plugging away on a deadline. She was knocking some things out on work. And it was about maybe like 6:30. And he just walked in here. He's like, why do I still have my jammies on? We're like, just not giving him that active parenting, schedules, and you do things at proper times of the day. I mean, Corona's just wiped away hours, wiped away days. It's just, hey, you're here, you're alive. It's all that matters, literally.
Yeah. But you know what? I think that's the difference between boys and girls.
That too. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the boys are a little bit more easygoing, and you tell them something about, they're like, all right. And they'll go,
like he hasn't asked for his friends or asked, are we doing anything today? Every once in a while, but he's just going with the flow. He really is. So it's the gift and the curse,
Yeah, Viv asks a bunch of questions, but I think that's like a girl thing, Yeah.
I'm a girl. I don't know.
Yeah,
easier to raise.
You know what? Homeschooling her, spending this much more time with her, I've gotten like an appreciation for just how smart of a kid she is, and I think we've gotten a lot closer. At first, she didn't like homeschooling. She wanted Isla to be home. She wants to be with her friends. She cried a lot, and she got more accustomed to it, and I tried to do more things for her, like Zooming with her friends and stuff, and try to be a little bit more relaxed, because the school would give, we had to do our video session early in the morning, then they would have assignments on Google Classroom, and that's all well and good, but she doesn't have more than like a 20-minute attention span, right? So then
I wish to break up the day. If it was 20 seconds with Nixon, I'd be winning. I wish.
Yeah, so I mean, if she wants to like draw in the middle of classes, I let her do that. If the last couple of weeks I've been painting her face like 3 times a week, and she wouldn't do that at school. She loves that stuff. And when we go for walks, I pull out my SLR and I've been shooting on my camera a lot more, and she likes to use it. So I just give it to her, and she likes to go on walks now and use the camera. And what's else? We've been doing that Mo Willems YouTube. I don't know if you've been doing that through the Kennedy Center, where that writer that did that book, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus.
Okay.
He has some YouTube classes where he teaches kids how to draw. So I've been having her do that the last week and a half, and she really loves it. And the interesting thing is, when she draws with me, she's very picky and kind of perfectionist, and she'll get down in tears when this little bit of the mermaid here is all wrong.
Sounds just like
her to do it, and she's like, "No, I can't do it. You have to do it."
Yeah.
And when she's watching Mo Willems, she does everything he says, because he's the big time illustrator. She's like, she does anything that he says, and she's just whipping out these drawings, like, really good drawings too. Exactly what he's doing. So I've gotten like a really good appreciation for how she operates, and then the school as well. She goes to a Montessori, and they don't do homework or give you any kind of idea of what they're doing in class. They just kind of work in the classroom. And seeing the video chats with her, what they call a guide, and there's like the PE teacher and the librarian, and just listening in on the video chat, seeing what they're doing, I've gotten a really strong appreciation for the teachers and and the school. So we're even more excited about, where she's going to school now. So I think that's the one good thing about the virus. You get kind of like better insight into how good the school is. So, yeah.
How about you, Nick, in terms of schedules?
In what regard?
Nixon, does he have a schedule, school?
So they, at some point, I won't say the unpolitically correct answer. They started doing, so they have circle time, right? When they're in the school, they gather, all the kids sit in the circle, and that's where they do their main learning. They go over what day it is and whatever they're going to learn today, whatever book they're going to read, or whatever little exercise they focus on. So they started putting those up on Facebook as videos. So we can save those and Nixon can watch them, right? But at a certain point, I had to get him I had to get him a regimented schedule. And we had, the thing with Nixon, and Richard knows, your kids are going to oscillate between mommy and daddy. They're going to tend towards daddy some days, then towards mommy, and back towards daddy. And as they get older, they kind of go back and forth. And at a certain point, I was noticing Nixon going towards mommy a lot more than usual, and a lot more than would probably be that we kind of needed. I mean, I can't have Lauren taking care of Nixon and doing things for Nixon all the time. He has to listen to both of us. He has to go towards both of us when we ask him to come to, over here, do this or whatever it is. So, if it's laying, I've always been good, at laying him down for a nap, but I can't lay him down for a nap all the time. If it's doing something for him, exercise, whatever, he can't always listen to Lauren. I need to do that for him as well. So we kind of go back and forth. But I kind of came with Nixon's schedule because he got to the point where he was like, I don't like nap time. I don't like bedtime. I was like, oh, here we go, because he'd never done that before. So the more you get into this spin cycle of Corona, you start figuring out things that you don't like, even though there's no issue for you to really dislike them. Mm-hmm. But he's probably just getting this. I'm doing this all the time. Like, I'm tired of this. So I was like, okay, what can we do? So try to set him up a regimented schedule. So these are the things, you wake up in the morning and these are the things you do in the morning, and, circle time is part of that. And get your snack and lunchtime, and then you have nap time, and then you wake up and you do other things, and you can do this and watch that and color this and whatever. And then you get the 5-step process. Brush your teeth, wash your face, go read a book, put on your jammies, and go to sleep. So, and then nighttime, and that's it. So just trying to structure these things, even though they were really, we were always doing them. He didn't have it on a piece of paper with mommy's glorious handwriting, so we could read it to him and tell him what it is, right? But yeah, that's been the biggest thing. I mean, they're still in the midst of that, in the midst of Corona and these schedules and activities, and stuff is there and stuff is available to be done. But you're trying to get work done at the same time. Just like I said to you, Richard, you're trying to teach your family on one hand, the other hand, you're trying to feed your family. And those two, one cannot serve two masters. That's what this is showing.
Well, yeah.
It's been definitely been difficult. I mean, there are times when it was 2 against 1 in this household, where we can kind of balance out. And if Lauren has a call, I'll take Nixon. I'll keep him occupied, keep him quiet, whatever's necessary, and vice versa. While I'm keeping him quiet and keeping him occupied, I'm not getting any work done. Yeah. While Lauren's taking him upstairs, hey, come do this if something comes up. I mean, he's got to go for a procedure next week, and I had to take him in for a checkup yesterday, and then other things associated with that. I'm losing my days, but my Thursday was shot.
Yeah.
So how do I pick that time up? If it was back when outside was legal, I might go in a little bit earlier, stay a little bit later. It's a Friday night. I'm married, got a kid. I ain't going nowhere, so I'll just stay in office till 8, 9, 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Can't do that now. So that's the one thing. There's a pace that we're used to that we can't do now because it's not business as usual.
Right.
Our offices and our jobs and our organizations or whoever we're doing work for, they're not all recognizing that this is not business as usual. We cannot put forth the same resources, the same effort that we are able to because we just can't.
Right.
But how do you say that?
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Either in my firm, I'm only one with a small child. There's someone else that has small children, but their third is 17, so she can watch them. So they're good. But you end up letting a lot of the parenting, a lot of the discipline, a lot of the lessons and the rules. Corona just took that and threw it in a bag and threw it out the window.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to get any bonus points right now. I'm just trying to survive.
Right.
I mean,
trying to survive.
If I can get like a little break and she watches. So, before Corona, we try to like limit screen time and all this stuff. Right now, I mean, she watches as much TV as she needs. I mean, she does her work, right? All the lessons and stuff. But I mean, she's at home a lot, so we have to fill in the time somehow, and we can't be entertaining her all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, something has to give. So she's guessing away with murder right now. I feel you. She's watching TV. Yeah, anything she wants. Like, oh, can I get some ice cream? I'm like, yeah, have the ice cream.
That's right. Have all ice cream in there. Don't worry.
I mean, she's looking at me like, I'm guessing away with this. She's like, I think at one point, she asked me. She's like, how come you're giving me more pie before you would?
Like, don't worry about it. Just let Daddy get this done. Don't worry about it. Eat all the pie.
So I'm relaxed because I can't survive trying to enforce all these rules. I mean, something else.
I have tried to slip in a couple lessons. I have tried to slip in a couple lessons. So, if it's before nap time or next time, you say, oh, that, it is baby gibberish. So, oh, Daddy, I want to, sit in the rocking chair with you, because he wants me to, hold him while he goes to sleep. It's, oh, you sleep trained you, stop that, But I'll try to, oh, Nixon, Daddy has to go back downstairs. I have to get some work done. Mommy has to get work done. Daddy has to get work done. We work so we can have money to pay for things and all that. I try and tell them those things. So, the only thing you have to do is watch Circle Time and listen to Mommy and Daddy. That's it. So I try and slip in these little lessons. But other than that, it's the inmates running the asylum.
Yeah.
Seriously. He's doing what he wants, and we're trying to, I can't even say steer him. We're trying to just, if they're on the bike and they've been on the training wheels for a while, you take the training wheels off, you're not holding them, but just got your hands on making sure they don't fall or tip over, right? That's kind of what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
too much self-guiding going on, but what else are we going to do?
Yeah, really? So is he kind of connected back to his friends at school? Like, does he see them at all?
Well, and so that's the other thing. When they only have one meeting like that a week.
Oh, wow, just one?
Just one, yeah. It's at the same time. And Lauren did it either once or twice. And she said, it was just kind of, it's the 3-year-old room. So they're not focused on, they're all over the place. You got kids, back and forth on the camera. And it was a little bit too much, but also it's at the same time, I have my office has our project management meeting, Monday morning project management meeting. And Lauren has, I don't know if she has a sitting meeting, but she often has meetings at the same time. So I think she told them after, maybe when they put out the first one, like, we're probably not going to be able to make it. And this is kind of, parents are different and the schedules are different, but they're doing the best they can. And they're trying to give us something. For the money we paying, but they're trying to keep some structure in the children's lives, which is good.
Yeah.
I just at a 4-year-old, they were proud. They're more self-aware, like the machines, they're becoming self-aware. 3-year-olds, I don't really think they get it, and I don't think it's just Nixon being aloof. I think they're, as long as Mommy and Daddy are there, and if they have their sibling, that's their world. Their world is 6 inches in front of them.
Yeah.
Seriously. So we're taking it as it comes,
Yeah, that's tough, man. And then the 2 full-time schedules.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really have much wiggle room there. But Lauren, I saw something where you posted on Facebook that she was drawing now. So she.
No, that was just happenstance.
What's that?
That was just happenstance. So she's associate director of international education at MICA, Maryland Institute College of Art. So her work, she's essentially higher education administration.
Administration, okay.
Yes, that's all she does. So
but she
she's
doesn't
dealing
have
with
more flexibility than what you do.
no, she deals with a lot more. She deals with many more people on a daily / hourly basis than I do.
Okay.
My work is just like with Nixon. My work is 6 inches in front of me. You know, I'm emailing, I'm drawing. If I need to call somebody, I'll call them. I have one sitting conference call every week. And said, even though I'm dealing with I'm not going to curse on your podcast, but I've got a lot of projects with you there. So, but my work is in front of me. So however much work I'm doing or however much work I'm able to get done is 6 inches in front of me. That's another different, that's a difference from Lauren having students schedule times to conference with her, or her group in her office having to have meetings, or any committee she's in throughout the campus that she has to interface with a ton of people. I don't have to. So from that standpoint, her time is also somewhat limited. It's not like she's just getting her office stuff done and she gets it done whenever she can. She has to, I got a call from 9 o'clock this morning. It'll go to, it might be 15 minutes, might be 45. Then we got a committee meeting. I got interviews for this. There's a lot of things she's dealing with where it is constant. And I'm trying to help her out as best I can because she has to sit in the Zoom. Like, she has to be there. She can't have a little baby chirping around, everything like she can. So we're trying to balance each other as best we can. This isn't the 1960s, 70s, 80s where you had daddy going out there to be the breadwinner and mommy was just home with the apron on all day long taking care of the kids. Like, no, it's not like that. We're balancing each other out and we're both trying to get work done. We're both responsible for our own work, but we have to be able to get the work done. And it's a struggle. It's an absolute struggle.
Do you have a workspace? Richard, you mentioned that you have an office. You and your wife share an office, but how about you?
Lauren and I, elbow to elbow at the dining room table.
Oh man.
Yeah, so she has her laptop right over here. I have my laptop, set up a second monitor, so I'm somewhat decent. But
so you've taken over the dining table as your home office. I mean, oh man. Yeah. So you literally can't escape from work right now.
No.
I mean, there's that constant reminder right there in the dining room.
Yeah. I mean, there's, Lauren will go upstairs sometimes because she has to print out a lot of documents. So she'll go upstairs to the second bedroom / office because there's a desk, my desk in there that I had when I was in grad school. And that's where the printer is. So, if she needs to, and both of us too, I'll go up there and take phone calls because my cell phone's janky, the reception's janky at the house. But, if she needs to go up there and have a meeting or focus or print stuff, then yeah, she'll go up there. But, I mean, 80 to 90% of the time, we're down here at the dining room table getting work done. A friend of mine he just had a newborn within the last few months, and he already had a 2-year-old, and he was kind of trying to figure that out too. It's if you have a dedicated space, okay, you can focus on getting your work done. But if you're focusing on getting your work done, you're not helping out at home. Just like I say, one cannot serve two masters. I mean, you either, and I seriously don't know what the answer is. I mean, I can talk in circles, but I don't know who's winning.
Yeah, it spills over into the weekend, man. Your weekends, your weekend, it's all blended up together now.
Moving forward to this new norm, some people hate it when this new norm, right?
I mean, I don't know when it's going to end. It's
gradually we'll start being released out into the wild again.
You're outside parole, right?
Right. Do you think that things are going to change?
The only thing that I keep saying is all this reopening stuff is irrelevant. And just like I say, follow the money, follow the schools. Until they start talking about what they're going to do with school, all this reopening stuff is irrelevant because Nixon can't stay at home by himself. So when we got word Friday, March 13th, that preschool is going to be shut down for the next 2 weeks, Lauren and I both were home that following Monday. So we've been working from home since Monday, March 16th.
Yeah.
We will be working from home until his preschool opens back up. And we're one of every other family on the faces or that's under shelter in place right now. Because that's what it is. I mean, you can reopen whatever you want, but if your kids are home, then you'll be there with them. If people, the business side of that, if patrons, prospective patrons feel uncomfortable about going out and venturing into your business, that's one thing. If your employees feel uncomfortable about working there, that's the other thing. But aside from all that, the health related aspects of Corona, if people's kids have to be, if there's no school, no summer camps, no preschool, no daycare, no nothing, unless you're an essential worker, but for everyone else, then you're gonna be at home. I don't care what you open. I'm not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, so I saw a news report for preschool. I think it's a preschool in DC, and they open back up, right? But they have to keep the counts down. So it's only 10% the student population at the school, and they have to deep clean and all that stuff. So 10% goes to the school. Everybody else has to homeschool, and I think the teachers in the classroom, and they still have to be on the iPhones, video conferencing back to the rest of the kids that can't be in the classroom. So I think that's kind of a sign of how it's going to transition back.
Well, what is the 10%? Do they rotate? Like
I don't know what they do.
This group of kids, group 1 is here this week, then group 2 is here this week, and
I mean, what's the point? I don't know. It's like a lottery, how you get that 10% in, but I'd rather stick to a routine than have. Well, I don't know what's the best thing. Having like one day off where they just go to school. I guess that's good. I mean, you recover one day. I mean, that's better than nothing, right?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, you know how baby germs are. Baby germs are potent.
Yeah.
So if hey, God forbid, one kid gets Corona, right? Gets COVID-19, it's gonna spread like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the daycares are worried about. Because, you can't teach 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds to stay away from each other.
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
So it's spread, I used to say I used to never get sick before Nixon got here because I didn't. I wouldn't get these little common cold stuff. Now I'm sick all the time because of his little butt. So that's what that's what everyone's most worried about. We're not different in that regard. And that's what the preschool's are worried about. So they can deep clean all they want. They're not gonna put masks on the kids. Now when I took Nixon out to his checkup yesterday, and then we took him out another time, and I had him put his mittens on. So I'm much more worried about him touching things than touching his face. Yeah. So putting mittens on, I'll worry a little bit less.
Does he still does he put his fingers in his mouth? Like, does he suck a thumb or
he doesn't? Okay. He doesn't. So, you can do things like what can you do to prevent COVID? Anyone that has COVID, to prevent them from spreading if they're 2 or 3, 4 years old. I mean, what is social distancing to a 4-year-old, to a 3-year-old, to a 2-year-old? Like they don't understand it. They don't comprehend those things.
Yeah.
So
Isla is going back to. I mean,
put them a whole lot of gates. Put them in the bring all these packet plays back into preschool. Maybe we do it there, but that's what it is.
Put them in crates like dogs and just see them.
Something. Something. I don't know. It's it is this is a new. I don't even know if I can call it a new normal. Nothing about this is normal. It really isn't. There are certain things that how people have pivoted. That's normal, or it should have been normal to them. Like I say, digital industries that whose work is inherently digital should have been much more agile than they showed themselves to be. But what's the effect of Corona is just totally abnormal. None of us have lived through anything like this.
Right.
I mean, I don't care. People are talking about wartime. They're talking about 9/11. They're talking about, even out here in Baltimore, they're talking about the Freddie Gray uprisings. I mean, talking about economic downturns. There's a difference when your business is not taking in as much business and revenues are lower than usual, whatever. That's people feel somewhat unsafe about. When the uprisings were going on, a lot of people weren't coming into downtown who lived in the county, right? So a lot of restaurants were taking a hit then. It's another thing when they say, hey, you have to close your door.
Mm-hmm.
You will take in no one. That's a little bit different. It's a little bit different when you have all these retail, hospitality, event, those kind of commercial enterprises that had to close up shop. That's a bit different than an economic downturn. Right. That's a bit different than I feel somewhat uncomfortable patronizing your business. If I cannot have you patronize my business by executive order, well, that's totally different. I've never
something you touched upon too is how is your mental health? How did you guys handle all this?
Richard, you want to go first?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, when the homeschooling started, I didn't really accept what was going on. And I just got I was really upset with what was going on because, like I said, I had to deal with having to run a new business, and then now this homeschooling thing that basically cut my time in half. So it was upsetting, and I was having to work overtime basically just to try to make it all work. And and of course Viv, she was separated from her friends, and she was lashing out a lot, crying and all this stuff, and telling me she didn't like homeschool, which means she didn't like her homeschool teacher. So she was upset, I was upset. I don't know if you know, but I run a lot, so that starts to decline as well. And I would go out, just for like a half an hour just to clear my mind and stuff. And then a couple of years ago, I was using this app called Headspace. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's like a meditation app. So I was using that to kind of clear my head and stuff. And I'd stopped using it. And then I saw that Thomas made a post on Facebook about 10% happier. So that you have a number of these meditation apps, 10% calm. So I started looking into that again, and I really like the 10% happier app because they have a number of mental health professionals on the app and they have like videos with specific topics, and then they have like little 5-minute meditation. So that kind of helped to have them explain certain things that, like, they have one whole set of courses on relationships. They have a whole set of courses on just the basics of meditation. And now the last couple of weeks they've been doing live meditations at 3:00, and the topics are just about everything that's going on with coronavirus. So it's a YouTube live, so people from all over the world, they come in and they ask questions. And I mean, it's all about coronavirus, like healthcare professionals, stuff like what you're talking about, having anxiety about going outside. When is this going to end? And, how do I calm down? And you have like, professionals that have been doing this for like 30, 40 years, answering all these questions. And it's calming. I mean, you don't have to like, none of us are like professionals at this stuff. So it's kind of calming to hear somebody that really knows what they're talking about kind of break it down for you. So I've been tuning into stuff like that. I do the app on my own, check out some of the courses, and then I'll try to catch some of the live sessions a couple times a week. So that's helped a lot to kind of cut back on, well, kind of accept what's going on, because the more you accept it, the more you're just kind of free and just like, whatever happens, you just take it one day at a time. So that's kind of helped a lot to cope with it. I think it'd be good if you had like some kind of mental health professional that you check in with. Actually, a year ago, I was looking into, I think I've spoken to a person a couple times, But then I didn't really need it after a while. So then I guess I was just using the Headspace app because it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I mean, some people are going through real crisis and they really need it, and it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But I think, some of these apps are good to check out, or even like seek out, advice. I mean, our school, Viv School, I mean, they're actively sending us emails like it's a big deal. So they'll tell us, hey, our counselors are available. You see it in DC a lot with DC government. I mean, I follow like our local ward, the head of our ward, and their emails have like contact information for mental health professionals. It's a big deal. I mean, people are unemployed. They don't know what's going on. They don't know when it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking a toll. I mean, the healthcare professionals that have to deal with this on the front lines. I mean, I'm not even feeling, a fraction of what they're feeling.
That's very true.
And I mean, I saw reports this week of one woman that took her life and stuff. That was
the doctor in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like, you really should actively be checking in and kind of tuning in into what's going on in your head. I mean, if you're not doing that, I mean, it's kind of a disservice to yourself, really.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. There's so much. I mean, people, you need to exercise some sacrifice, some empathy, some patience.
Yeah.
Excuse me. No corona. It's just a cough. But there's so many things that people have to.
Get your mask, Melissa.
I know.
Right. These are tough times. I mean, thinking about any level of anxiety or apprehension or how you might react to something. I mean, corona is two things. It's got health effects and it's got economic effects. And through Facebooking, I put that you can come back from being or underemployed as a business if your profit margins are low or not bringing as much revenue as you're used to, or if you lose your job or get furloughed or whatever. I mean, you can come back from that. You can start another business, you can restart, you can get another loan at some point. You can have a friend of yours put your resume over here and you can find a job over it. You can come back from that. You cannot come back from dying. There's one person that did that, and we already passed Easter. so you cannot come back from death. So that's what makes this easy. Now, I'm saying that I have to take that with a grain of salt, because if my job or if Lauren's job had gotten affected adversely through Corona, I would feel some kind of way about it, right? If I didn't know, if my last check was March 13th or whatever, or April 7th, whatever the day was, then I might feel a little different. But I rest secure in the fact that I have been down and I've come back. Where you are at a certain point doesn't mean it doesn't determine where you're going to end up. And I have to believe that because I've done it. And that's what people have to do. They've got to play the long game. There's a lot of short money you can make right now, but you really have to be patient. And I've said way too many times over the last couple of years since I lost my dad, that's when I truly had to learn patience. And it's something willful. It's something that you really have to, it's total. You have to just totally let yourself go in whatever you want to do, whatever you want to think about it. You want to wrap your hands around something. No, just let it go. And just let it shake out however it's going to shake out. And it'll end up how it needs to. But you have to just feel totally within yourself and be safe and resolve within yourself that you cannot do anything to determine where this ends up. And it's like this, I don't know how a person would feel that and how they would figure that out, but that's what they have to do. And that's the whole thing with mental health. I mean, whether you're going through therapy or whatever, therapy doesn't save your life. It just creates coping mechanisms. It allows you to say, okay, if something pops up, I can't just stop, right? I can't just go hide underneath the bed until someone comes and finds me. I have to pivot. I have to find some way to keep moving and get around this thing. So the mental health aspect of it is definitely serious. There's been a lot of jokes out there, whatever, and check on your extrovert friends because they're not fine right now. Yeah, that's definitely true. But no matter what we each got 10 fingers, right? We could put any of them on it. You don't want to end up dead. So no matter how you're feeling, no matter what you're going through, you could die if you go out there and try and act like this is business as usual. And if there was anything less than that, then people would feel a little bit different about it. I definitely would feel a little bit different about it. But why am I the only person that's going to the grocery store in the last 6 weeks? Because let it be daddy. Mommy will stay here, Nixon will stay here. You know, if someone's got to go out the house, it'll be me, you know, and that's what we have to do. So, you know, yeah, those first 2 or 3 times I'm bringing stuff in with, you know, my Mr. Clean gloves on, and I'm spraying stuff down with Lysol, and I'm, you know, dumping the chips in bleach and soaking them right. It's, you know,
like
all these things you have to do to protect yourself. Yeah, and it got to a point where I'm like, I can't do this. I'll drive myself crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You can, you know, I don't want to say there's a point where you can be too careful, because I don't want to say that, because I don't know what the numbers are, 62,000 plus, whatever it is, where it wasn't their own fault. It's just ridiculous. But there's a certain point where, you know, let go and let God, right? I wash my hands. I'll try and watch where I'm going. I'm not going to house parties. I'm not trying to see this underground club. I cut my own hair that I still have, so I don't have to worry about finding a barber on the Underground Railroad or something, you know. So I live my life clean now, and Corona clean, and I take it like that. I don't worry about things from that standpoint. But if my office was going to open up Monday, would I go? No. One, because I really don't believe I can stay free. You know, I can stay clean out there. And two, Nixon can't go nowhere. so that's it. So all that being said, how am I managing? It's still been difficult, because you can't not worry. You're thinking about your family. You're dealing with whatever anxieties you already had on your plate. Anything else is just, they say when you drink, you're the same person you are, you just magnify it, right? So whatever anxieties you already had, they're just magnified now. Now you can't run away from them. You can't go to work and get away from them. You can't come home and get away from them. You can't go out and get away from them. Like, they are here sitting right next to you. It's sitting on your shoulder. Like, hey, I ain't going to work. Been in 6 weeks. So what do? I mean, luckily I have a very wonderful marriage. I have a very wonderful partner, and we've always, since 2007, we've talked to each other about how we are. And we've had that discourse, that banter, that friendly rivalry, whatever it is. We've had that for 13 years now, and it's helped sustain us. I don't worry about that. Nixon's gonna make it one way or another, whether it's me or him or mommy, one of us is gonna make it. but we'll make it. But yeah, I've had times, I've had days, I've had instances, I've had whatever, where I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I'm probably less worried at the effects of Corona and being home and not having to go to work, not being able to get outside because the governor will come arrest me. But it's just that, how am I going to make it through all this? How is Nixon going to make it through all this? How is Lauren going to make it through all this? And I don't have an answer, and I won't have an answer. Dr. Fauci doesn't have an answer. Some of the doctors that are on the front line don't have answers. The people that are suffering from Corona, they don't have answers. And you have to just rest, as crazy as it is, you have to rest easy in that. If no one knows the answer, you are no further behind anyone else. So you just keep moving one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, and you just do it the best you can. Because anything other than that, we all going through struggles. We all trying to make sense of this. I would love if I had enough time to drink cocktails all day long and binge watch every show and movie on Netflix. I'm binging emails. I'm binging proposals and budgets and drawings and revenue models. That's what I'm binging.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
I don't know.
that I have all these glorious bottles on my shelf.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I'll do this as long as necessary. That's all anyone should do. because I don't want to go out there and end up have something happen to me. That's what it is. Yeah. It's no bigger than that. I want to end up right here on your podcast and nowhere else. I don't want anything to happen to me. And if I go outside and end up doing something, anything can happen. Whether I'm keep my nose clean or I'm out there wilding, anything can happen. It's happened to 62,000 plus people in this country. So you have to do what's important. You do. You have to do it. You have to be responsible.
Final words, guys.
Man, just love yours. J. Cole say the best. Love yours. Ain't nobody's life better than yours. Whatever you got right now, that's all that matters. My Uncle George told me some things you don't have right now, some things you're never gonna have. And you have to kind of, keep saying the term resolve things within yourself, but you have to resolve that within yourself. Some things are right for you. Some things you have to be patient about. Some things you're just not gonna have, and it's okay. But you can, as far as you can fall, you can climb right back up. So if you think this job is it and you lose it, you get furloughed or they cut your hours or cut your salary in half or whatever, you'll make it back. You will make it back. And someone had to tell me that years ago. So it's the truth. It's much better that we worry about the lesser economic effects than the health effects. The health effects are important. And I know all of us are connected to somebody who has suffered from this from a health perspective, whether they're still here to talk about it and, preach their testimony, or if they're not here, we got to preach it for them. We have all been we all been connected to somebody who's going through this. Right. It's way too important to just blow it off and say, oh, well, I just can't do this anymore. Well, you can not be alive anymore too. It's real easy. That's real easy. So that's my piece. Just be smart, be safe, show a little bit of empathy, exhibit a little bit of patience, and just have some sacrifice right now. That's all it is. Yeah.
How about
Mr.
you?
Liu?
I mean, what I've been trying to do is just kind of focus on the positives that's been happening. I think, everybody being separated, it's kind of forced us to kind of reconnect with people. So I think that's kind of the flip side. I find that I'm talking to a lot more people and just reaching out to a lot more people these days.
Whenever someone texts you, just call them right then.
What's that?
Whenever someone texts you, just call them. Just call them right there.
I'm not usually like a video chat person, but I'm like Zooming with everybody, video chatting. I mean,
right.
My family back home, every Sunday, we're having dinner together. So
cool.
My immediate family, we set up the iPad on the dinner table, and we're having dinner together. Yesterday, my wife, she had her family, and we're all there at the dinner table. So we're connecting a lot more. So I think that's one of the positives of this whole coronavirus thing. It's like connecting people. Like, I'll see people on Facebook, doing everybody's cooking a lot more on Facebook. Yeah. They're entertaining, they're sharing jokes, and I'm like connecting to a lot more people now. I think, that's the good part of it. I think relationships are getting stronger now. So, I think, once this is all over, everybody's like just eager to get out and kind of enjoy life. And, I think, the environmental part of it is really interesting too. The, what do you call it? The reduced, emissions, and you hear about like places like LA with the smog clearing up and all this stuff. So like relationships, environmentally, it's a lot better. I mean, I haven't been running as much to enjoy it, but the air is cleaner than ever. I just look for the positives and just take it one day at a time. I mean, I don't know when this is going to end, so I can't look into the future. I just have to look at what I have in front of me, and definitely trying to appreciate the time that I have with my immediate family. Just reconnecting with friends. That's kind of what I've been focusing on, because like Nick was saying, we don't have any control over what's going on, none. So, focus on the stuff that you can control. You can, look at, you can control what your outlook is on all this stuff that's going on. So, definitely take care of yourself, however however which way that is for you, like whether it's you do your meditation, your book. If you can't find time to read Netflix or whatever it is, I know like Nick was saying, I don't have the time to like Netflix binge and all this stuff. But if you have time to do all that stuff, catch up on all that stuff. So you use the time wisely, because if you can do some classes. I noticed that people can't do ARE exams now. I think all the prometric places are closed down. So study, study for exams if you can do it. So definitely use the time wisely, because we have a lot of it right now.
Yeah.
Well, those people do. We don't.
What's that?
Those people do.
Yeah, some people do. But I think the flip side is just trying to while people are social distancing, it's time to build like stronger relationships. Yeah, that's been the flip side for me.
Hey listeners, I have an exciting announcement. I decided to launch a membership program for the show, where you have a chance to support me and the show directly. I love creating this show, and it means the world to me that you all tune in to keep hearing me week after week. But it takes an immense amount of time and energy to produce. I want to keep the show going, and I want to invest in its growth. And I also want you to become a partner with me in this journey. That's why I'm excited to give you a chance to officially become a supporter of the show at glow.fm/archispodly, ARCHISPOLLY, or by clicking the link in the show notes. It's quick and easy. It takes less than 30 seconds and just takes clicking a link in the show notes and using Apple or Google Pay. You don't have to create any new logins, and you can contribute as much or as little as you like. If this show is part of your day or week and you like what I'm doing, then visit glow.fm/archispodly, all one word, and support me and the show in any way you can today.